signs of a tropical storm here in South Philadelphia. Ashburn Alley is buzzing like it normally is on a beautiful Saturday night for baseball. A little breezy, but the Phils are hoping the breeze will help coax the offense a little bit. It's Game 2 between the Phils and the Atlanta Braves. It's Weekends with Schmidt, presented by Acme Markets. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom McCarthy, along with Matt Stairs and Mike Schmidt. We get ready for Game 2, and the Phils are hoping that they can stop this losing streak. They've lost 4 straight. Their offense has been kind of quiet. And, Mike, as we get set to get through the stretch run here in September, there are a couple guys that are having solid runs, another few guys that are struggling somewhat.
You got that right. The 2 guys I want to watch the last 28 games of the year are Galvis and Hernandez, our double play combination up the middle. Both guys have the ability to have what you would consider pretty darn good years for themselves, and by finishing strong they can solidify their place in the Phillies spring training next year and have an upper hand on that job next year for sure. But I want to say this, there's 28 games left. They're about 14 games under 500 right now on a 6 of 7 loss streak. These last 28 games can take them into the offseason with a good feeling about themselves, trust me. And you know, they can also give them a real bad feeling about themselves, too. So let's hope that they can buckle down and play each game like it's the last game of the World Series, and after these last 28, be pretty proud of what they've accomplished.
Pete Mackanin kind of said the same thing today. He also said that they've got to quiet the middle of the order for the Atlanta Braves, and last night the middle of the order featured Freddie Freeman, and it also featured Matt Kemp, who's had a pretty good year between San Diego and Atlanta.
Well, he has, and over his 10-year career, he's been a guy who's been very solid in the middle of the lineup. Very important to the Braves lineup because he's a right-handed hitter, which protects Freddie Freeman as well. Last night, gets a curveball from Hellickson. Hanging curveballs, one thing Kemp has done his career is he crushes them. He did not miss that ball last night. Then all of a sudden he gets 2 strikes. Very smart hitter. Doesn't hit for a high average anymore, but he's a very smart hitter. Knows how to hit the ball to right field. Turn on balls if it's a hanging curveball. Look at the numbers combined. 130 games. I said 262 average. It's not bad for a guy who's been around for 10 years, but it's a 27 home runs and 92 RBIs, where he's that guy in the middle of that lineup you can look at. He's a game changer, and he protects Freddie Freeman.
I think that's the big key, is he protects Freddie Freeman and allows Markakis not to be in the middle of the order for the Braves. He can be down a little bit, and that may help his game as well. So the Phils will look to quiet him tonight. It's a similar lineup tonight for the Braves as we saw last night. John Gant making his 5th major league start. First time he'll face the Phillies. He'll be opposed by Vince Velasquez, who's making his 24th start of the season for the Phils. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. By Toyota, the annual clearance sale is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. By Citizens Bank. The next time you have a question about money, don't keep it to yourself. Ask a citizen. And by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Learn more at IBX.com. mound to begin tonight's start against the Atlanta Braves. Vince went 5 innings his last time. Now let's take a look at the Braves lineup, brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Pretty much the same lineup as last night. The exception is the 8-hole. Dansby Swanson will play shortstop. And then John Gant, of course, will bat 9th and do the pitching for the Braves. They will face the right-hander Vince Velasquez. Velasquez 8-6 with an ERA of 4.21. Matt, you can look at the strikeouts and say, man, that's a good year. More than a strikeout per innings pitch. But, he's got to get his pitch count down as he progresses here in September.
Yeah, he really does. And for him, he's first pitch strikes. Look at his scouting report. Very good fastball, still averaging just under 94. He will hit 96 when he needs to. He is a 4-pitch pitcher, and we'll put the last 8 starts behind us and start new tonight.
Well, the first guy he'll face is Ender Inciarte, who had a big night last night for the Braves. In fact, the Braves were quiet for the first 4 innings. They weren't quiet after that, though. And the first pitch fouled back, and it's 0-1. We're underway. And by the way, a breezy night. The tropical storm, which is churning off the Jersey and Delaware coast, is producing some winds. But that's pretty much it here in Philadelphia. A little different story down the shore.
Good win for right-handers.
It is a good win for right-handers.
Well, it's a good win for lefties, too. You swing hard and go to left.
1 ball and 1 strike to Inciarte. 3 for 5 in last night's game. Late on a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, and it's 1-2.
And that's what you're talking about, Matty. Go right at him. Minimize those pitches. Believe you got pitch to contact stuff, man. Go right at him. Get some fly balls.
Inciarte's hit in 13 consecutive games. Looks like Rupp wants an off-speed pitch here. And he went upstairs. That's not an off-speed pitch. That's a 95-mile-an-hour fastball. One away. Time now for our Nissan keys to the game. Matt, why don't you start us off?
Well, we just talked about it a little bit. Vince, look for early contact. Get the pitch count down from 17.1 per inning down to about 15 or 14 the remainder of the year.
All right, Michael, what do you think?
Well, I'd like to see, we talked in the opening about 28 games left. I'd like to see all these guys get charged up about finishing strong. You feel good about yourself. The organization will feel better about you in spring training. There's several guys out here right now that are going to be pushed by some strong minor league guys, especially outfielders next year for jobs next season. So feel the heat, baby.
Feel the heat and finish strong. 1 ball and no strikes to Adonis Garcia, 271 batter. And he hits that one out toward right center field.
The wind will get that baby, won't it?
I don't know. It is gone. Opposite field home run. That's some power. Well,
that's right into that wind.
Maybe the left-handers do have a chance tonight. That is the 12th home run of the year for Adonis Garcia. That's a big-time pop right there.
Based on the way those flags are blowing, it definitely is.
So 1-0 Braves here in the first.
There you see it. That ball's right down the middle, knee high. And he hits it through the wind. That's some good power right there.
Well, last night it was the Phillies who took the early lead. They were up 4-0. That was estimated at 407 feet. Freddie Freeman hits one skyward, left side. Boy, this is going to wind up being a little tougher than it looked at the outset. Michael Franco is able to track it down and track the wind.
That's a good play right there. I mean, that's a strange territory right there for a third baseman to be catching a ball. Obviously, Freddie's swinging around on Freeman. And that wind, golly, it's pushing it toward right field. Maybe it's swirling around in here.
It could be. You know, his last homestand, we were talking to Aaron Altair about the wind because we thought it was breezy, pretty breezy when we were up at Harry the K's. And he said, no, it wasn't breezy at all. But it was windy up at Harry the K's. There's Matt Kemp. Kemp last night 3 for 5 with 4 RBIs. Kemp hit a 3-run home run in last night's ball game. 28 on the year. Excuse me, 27 on the year to go along with 92 runs batted in.
That's what I like. That fastball at 95, 94, 95, 96er, that baby has some hop on it when it's up in the strike zone. No one's going to hit it when it's up.
One ball and one strike to Kemp. Kemp hitting .265 since the trade with the Padres. Off-speed pitch, 89 miles an hour.
Good change.
Tell you what, this guy looks good in that 4-hole, doesn't he? On this team, you mentioned it takes Markakis out of the what they call the 1, 2, 3, 4 mix.
Well, he picks up 2 strikeouts in the inning, including Kemp on an 89-mile-an-hour changeup, but the Braves take a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the first. For the Atlanta Braves, this is what they had hoped for when they brought him up last year. He's already eclipsed his home run total from a season ago. Let's see if the Phillies can get back at it here in the bottom of the first. Their lineup brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way new experience TV. The big story is that Odubel Herrera is now down to the number 7 spot as his struggles continue since the All-Star break, really even before the All-Star break. So he'll bat 8th, Velasquez bats 9th, and they will face the right-hander John Gantz. Gantz, a 24-year-old from Wesley Chapel, Florida, 1-3 with a 4.59 ERA. Matt, he broke camp with the Braves, but he's been battling an oblique injury that's cost him a good part of this year.
Yeah, one of the worst injuries for pitchers. Kind of affects your command a little bit. You can see the scouting report, 92-mile-an-hour fastball. He is a 3-pitch pitcher, and you have to get ready for a really different delivery in his windup. The way he starts, he starts with a big leg kick and then goes down. It's really different.
It is strange. Strange because we'd never seen it before. I don't know what made him start to do it that way. Facing Cesar Hernandez with 5 homers and 34 runs batted in. Lucky McDonald's Phillies home run jackpot contestant is Gail Malarkey of Southampton. Phillies hit a home run in today's ball game. Gail will win $100. Don't forget to capitalize on the McPick 2 menu from McDonald's. 2 balls and 1 strike. I think the thing that's weird about it is that, you know, a lot of pitchers are different from the windup to the stretch, but he is drastically different from the windup to the stretch. Ooh. Looks like Cesar just had a word with the home plate umpire, Chad Whitson. Off speed pitch, and it's 3-2.
It's a really different windup. He looks like he's got a quick pitch, and then all of a sudden he back to normal.
You guys think there's a little timing issue here, first time through for some of these guys, or as Matt said, it's back to normal at one point?
I think once he does that leg kick, he's back to normal. So you ignore the first leg kick and then time him right there.
Down the left field line. Long run for Matt Kemp, and the wind will blow it into the seats.
I think Caesar's evolved into a nice leadoff hitter. I think he's got a pretty good idea about seeing pitches, and he's got a nice small strike zone.
We saw that note about the number of walks he has this year against the Braves. His walks are up, since the All-Star break, and it's part of the reason why his on-base percentage is up too. A liner to left, but Matt Kemp had him played that way and makes the catch. And one out here in the bottom of the first. And Aaron Altair is coming up.
Just a guy that seems like Pete having trouble finding a steady place for him in the lineup. And he's, Matt, would you call him 5-tool player? Run, throw, hit with power.
Potential, yes.
Potentially a 5-tool player. I don't see him in the Phillies' future as a 2-hole hitter. I see him more as a 3-hole guy. See, he hits his stride.
Well, it has taken him some time to find that consistency, which seems to be the case for a lot of the Phillies hitters, particularly since the All-Star break. No balls and 2 strikes. And it's 1-2.
It's the same old thing, Matt. Aaron's gets in good hitting position. I think he just goes a little hard at the ball. You know what I mean?
Yep.
He just when he figures that hole, I don't have to swing hard to hit it hard.
And I think we talked about it, that he gets usually one pretty good pitch to hit per at bat, and like you said, Mike, he overswings sometimes. He fouls it straight back.
Swing and a miss at the off-speed pitch. Yeah, there are 2 outs here in the first.
Good changeup right here.
Yes, it is. That thing really goes down. It goes down a foot. Again, they may be facing a guy that they have not seen before. Well, you need to know he has that pitch.
Well, his changeup is called a Vulcan changeup, which means that he puts it, I don't want to say between his middle finger and his ring finger, but its middle finger and his ring finger are where it splits.
Right.
And there's a V that is around it. Fastball, and it's 0-2. Now, would you say it goes deep into that split, or does he just hold it that way?
No, I would say he, well, wide as he can with those fingers.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a split finger fastball, but used in the middle.
There's a liner to left field. That's a bullet right at Matt Kemp. Oh, right off his glove. He didn't see it once it got out toward him, and Franco's going to pull into second base. And the Phils have a runner in scoring position.
Anxious to see that scoring. I want to tell you, that's one of the hardest balls I've ever seen hit.
It's a double. This ball is hit hard.
Wow.
But watch, all of a sudden right here, it just takes off.
Not a very good 0-2 pitch. Be glad he didn't get that one up a little bit.
Gant reacted a little bit after that misplay. That ball was hit right on the nose, and I don't know if you want to show off your veteran teammate like that.
No, I don't think so either. Because I don't think that if he gives up a home run here, that Matt Kemp's going to grab his head and go, "Oh man, what are you doing?"
Here's Ryan Howard starting for a second straight game, and he takes a breaking ball in the dirt. 1 ball and no strikes.
Unless he was covering his head up because he was angry at himself for making a mistake. 0-2.
Back to that hit ball by Franco. That was a very poor 0-2 pitch. 3 fastballs in a row. I know he probably didn't want it right down the middle, but why not bounce a couple of curveballs?
Speed pitch, 1-1. Yeah, that's why you don't react that way when your fielder misplays it, because you're the one that threw the pitch.
Yeah. We'd have a few conversations. We'd have a little conversation next inning. And it'd be a one-way conversation.
Howard lays off this time. 2 balls and 1 strike. Ryan last night was 2 for 4. One of the 2 was a bloop double down the left field line that gave the Phils a first inning lead. And that one is pulled foul. That almost hit Mike Everett, the first base umpire.
That's the change. See, the veteran umpire knowing that a lefty hit a ball to an umpire at first, it's going to always tail to your left.
It's going to hook.
So always go to your right. A lot
Good,
of guys
good thing he didn't move to his left. That baby would have hunted him down.
Right in the stomach.
And a fastball at 93 on the outside part of the plate, and Howard's down looking. No runs, 1 hit, 1 man left in scoring position. We'll move to the second. Tomorrow, Fun and the Phillies will be collecting new and used baseball and softball equipment at our gates to benefit Pitch In for Baseball, an organization that spreads the game of baseball to needy children both locally and throughout the world. Order your tickets now at Phillies.com. Nick Markakis leads it off here in the top of the second. Markakis hitting .268 on the year. And the first pitch is in there. It's 0-1. Markakis last night had 2 hits, including a double and an RBI. Fly ball left field. That is going to blow right back to Darren Ruff. And 1 out.
Got away with the fastball right down the middle there, but I'll tell you what, if you keep it in the low to mid 90s, you're going to get away with a lot of those.
And now Tyler Flowers. Flowers, you see his numbers in 4 games against the Phillies. Ball does look like it's moving pretty easy out of his hand tonight. I know that one was popping at 92, it said.
One thing when you play the outfield with this type of wind is that Darren made the proper technique of what to do right there in the ball in the air. A lot of times you're taught to go to where the ball's going to come down. You have to wait. You almost wait till it gets to the point when it starts coming down, then you make the adjustment to where it's going to land. Does that make sense? So a lot of times you hit a ball to left center, you run to the spot. Well, now with the wind blowing as hard as it is, you wait a hair. Once it starts coming down, then you make the adjustment.
This one's going to wind up in the Hall of Fame club.
That was a green light 3-0 for Mr. Flowers.
3 balls and 1 strike. Now we're looking at the flag and seeing them blow like that. I mean, you've been down on this field and played. Is it drastically different from what we're seeing in the flags and what's down on the field?
Yeah, well, it's not bad right now. Like the outfielders think there's no wind right now because you don't feel it because the tunnel goes from left field to right field, and that's where once it gets above the seats, that's where the ball takes effect.
We got him to chase after that one. Got him. Changeup that ran toward the inner half. And that's the 3rd strikeout for Velasquez tonight. 2 of them are on the changeup, too.
Yeah, it's the exact same pitch that Kemp struck out on. Look at the movement.
Folks, that goes to show you how hard it is to hit nowadays. Not many guys would throw a 3-2 changeup back when this old man played.
Well, particularly him. You know, I mean, 3 months ago he wouldn't have done that, I don't think. Jace Peterson's the batter, this old man.
But you also have to remember, too, he didn't have that changeup in his back pocket a few months ago. Nice curveball.
I think, like you said, Tommy, I think he's got good stuff right now. Starting this game off nice.
Look at the break. It's the speed right there. Location.
'95.
Peterson, a .252 hitter with 7 homers and 23 RBIs. And he just reaches to poke that one to Hernandez. A 1-2-3 second inning for Vince Velasquez. We'll move to the bottom of the second. Phil's down by 1. The next road trip, they'll be home to take on the Pittsburgh Pirates in the start of a 4-game series. The Pirates are 19 games out in the Central, but they're still within reach as far as the wild card goes. Tickets can be purchased for all 4 games by going to Phillies.com. Speaking of the Central, we are at that point, boys, where you're going to start seeing little letters next to certain teams, meaning that they have been eliminated from any kind of contention. The Brewers and the Reds have little X's next to their names. So they are the 2 teams right now that are officially eliminated from a chance for the postseason. Mathematically, everybody else is still within reach. Here's Cameron Rupp, who takes a breaking ball.
I think we had an X beside our name in Kansas City. I think the second game in the All-Star break.
Oh, how many games did you guys lose that year?
Oh, I think 109 or.
That is a long year.
Oh, and we mixed in a game. We mixed in 17 straight losses that year.
What do you do when you lose 17 straight? I mean,
you drive 17 different ways to the ballpark.
Or wear a different shirt. Worse.
Inside 1-2 to Rupp.
If you've lost 17 straight, you've usually exhausted all the superstitions, right?
I would think you
Somewhere
have.
around 8 or 9, you gave those up.
Out of play, remains 1-2. Cameron hitting .263 with 14 home runs, 43 runs batted in. He's going through a little bit of a hitless stretch right now. And he goes down on a 92-mile-an-hour fastball. And 1 away. That'll bring Darren Ruff to the plate. Darren is the participant in our Geico quote of the day for today. This is Darren on his role with the Phils. I think I can help this team in some sort of role. It's just if they have a role that they see me succeeding in and helping them, I know I can help them. I think Darren's felt that way for the last several years. You know, he's really a first baseman who's playing a little left field tonight. And last night, Pete said, I asked him today, I said, so is Peter Borges okay? He said, yeah. He said, I'm just trying to get a little more offense. And I'm just maybe hoping that Darren Ruff can provide some based on what he did in the minor leagues this year. One ball and 1 strike.
Interesting how earlier we heard that we want defense.
Correct.
With Peter Borges.
Well, 2-1. Obviously, Tommy Joseph took over for Darren when Darren was sent down as the other first baseman. Tommy has sat the first couple games of this series. Is scheduled to play tomorrow with Tehran on the mound. Curveball.
That's a good looking curve right there. That'll freeze you if you're on the right side. Watch this curve. Starts from the nose, boom, to the toes almost. That's a really good curveball. Much like Velasquez's curveball. We got 2 good right-handers. Got good feel for their stuff tonight.
Rupp tries to stay alive on that changeup.
And you can see we have 2 right-handers that'll throw that changeup whenever they want. It's 3 times so far we've seen with 3-2 pitches throwing changeups.
This will be the 8th pitch of this at bat to Darren Ruff. Fights it off foul over the dugout. Remains 3-2. That gentleman caught that ball right out of his buddy's hands, basically. He went up with 2 hands. His buddy went up with 1. And he won the battle. Pretty good swing. Hit foul. And it remains 3-2.
Matty, this guy's fastball is straight, you know, which is what we say, a very straight fastball. It's the kind of fastball, to me, it looks like you can really keep that off-speed stuff in the back of your mind.
That ball's hit well out toward left center field. Inciarte, though, will curl back. The wind brought it back. And he makes the catch. So 2 outs here in the second.
That's a good competitive at bat by Darren right there.
It was a long one. He saw a lot of pitches. So now with 2 outs, it'll bring Odubel Herrera to the plate. And Murph, it's a new zip code for Odubel Herrera.
It is a little bit lower in that lineup, uncharted territory for Odubel Herrera. And Pete Mackanin has his reasons. As we've seen over the last couple of weeks, Odubel Herrera has really been scuffling. Take a look at these numbers. First 59 games of the season, batting .318. He was walking an awful lot. You see a very high OPS at .854. And then the last 73 games of this year, totally different numbers, .251, an OPS of .387. So what happened? Well, Pete Mackanin has his theory. Game 59 was right in the middle of the Chicago Cubs series here at Citizens Bank Park, and the Cubs really started to work Odubel inside, pounding him inside, and Odubel became aware of the inside of that plate, and then teams are working him away and getting him out of way. So Pete has noticed that trend continuing over the last 73 games. He said, I just want to move him down in the lineup, give him a chance to think about it, and try to regain that plate discipline that he saw all of last year and he saw at the beginning of this season. So that's why Odubel's down in the 7-hole. They're hoping that it'll work, guys.
Yeah, and that last pitch that you just saw is the pitch that he's having trouble with now. Middle or out toward the outer edge of the plate. See, that's what the Cubs were doing. They were coming inside, and now teams are doing that. Some are, and then they're going to the outside part of the plate. He's just not getting his bat outs.
When we watch Odubel, we're always excited because he's always excited. You know, he plays with a lot of exuberance and smile on his face and energy, and I think maybe, you know, it starts to wear on him as the season goes on. We're into September now, 28 games left, running from center field to the dugout every night, you know, what, 18 times, the pregame warm-ups, his general approach to the game. I think it can wear on your concentration. You know what I mean? You just, as he lines the ball to Freeman at first base, you know, you just kind of lose your concentration. Baseball season is tremendously long.
Well, he grounds out there. 1-2-3 second. We'll head to the third. our Jeep Stump the Fans trivia question. Log on to Phillies.com. Go to the fans section for all the information. Please submit your answer on the subject line. Guys, the question is, which Phillies pitcher was credited with the win against the Braves to wrap up the Phils' 102-win regular season in 2011? 102-win regular season in 2011. The answer will be revealed a little later on. Here is Dansby Swanson to lead it off for the Braves. At the top of the third, Swanson takes a strike. Swanson did not play last night for Atlanta. He is the former #1 overall pick by the Arizona Diamondbacks back in 2015, traded to the Braves this past offseason. Braves really like this deal. They feel like they've got some value in return for Shelby Miller. Made his major league debut on the 17th of August. One ball and 2 strikes.
Well, they must really like the deal since Shelby Miller spent 2 months in the minor leagues for a guy who I thought was very tough to face.
I like the deal for Arizona when they made it because Miller was so good.
I would agree. I concur.
It's a pretty good take right there. Notice he choked up on the bat a couple inches. Now, are a lot of guys wearing that jaw guard, if you will?
They are if they've gotten hit.
Oh.
Yeah. We've seen Jason Hayward wear it. Yadier Molina protecting his side is wearing it now.
Stanton.
Mike Stanton, depending on, was it right-handed pitchers, Matt?
Yes.
Ball's fouled back to the screen.
You have to have been hit to wear it?
No. But that's the theory, is that, you know, they're trying to protect.
Makes sense to me.
I remember when you played, Dave Parker wore it for a while, and Ellis Valentine used to wear it for a while too.
They let you down?
Little looper out toward left center field, and that's going to drop in for a base hit for Swanson. So he's aboard to start the third. Every time the Phillies pitchers retire the opposition 1-2-3, which Velasquez did in the last inning, Comcast will make a contribution to Phillies charities. Phillies baseball is brought to you by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. Here's John Gant, 0 for 5 in the big leagues with a couple sacrifices. And he bunts it foul. It's 0-1.
I can't for the life of me understand why they teach pitchers nowadays to square around so early. Stand there and face that pitcher for 5 seconds, waiting on him to throw a fastball. It's so much easier just to hold it a little bit longer. Now you got both guys breathing down your throat on each side.
Still a good bunt for Gant.
I'm not saying that they should have followed with a bad bunt or you know, or lack of ability to get him over, but he does make a good bunt. But I don't understand freezing in that bunting position for so long.
That's the key. I think what you're saying, just, you know, freezing your body.
Well, and the key right there was bunting that ball at the end of the barrel and deadening the ball.
Well, Swanson's got good speed. He's at second base, and that brings Ender Inciarte up for a second time. He is 0 for 1. Struck out in the first. And he pulls it foul off the roof of the Phillies dugout. No balls, 1 strike.
You know, I actually went to the Fenway Park last Sunday, and they have the screen all the way down. I remember the last time I was here, we had a little mishap in the stands, and they love it at Fenway Park. Screen all the way down to the other end of the dugout. I have to watch that ball bounce over the dugout and into the stands right there. But Fenway Park's a little bit closer.
Yeah, you're right on top of it.
Yeah.
Well, we'll be in Washington next weekend, and they have it toward the end. They have it to the end of the dugout too. Outside 2-1. You just needed your baseball fix, your weekend baseball fix.
No, I was hosting a group for a charity auction group. Yeah.
Not a bad place to be. Fenway
It's a fun
Park.
night. I mean, it's a fun night out. The atmosphere of Fenway Park's, and they're in it. They were playing the Kansas City Royals, by the way. A lot of guys having a good year. Saw Poppy hit his 31st.
He's remarkable. To go out like this, to retire with this kind of a year.
But is he really retiring?
I wonder the same thing. He says he is. Tapper flagged down by Velasquez. Very athletic play, but Franco missed the tag. Michael missed the tag on what should have been an easy out at third base. He just wasn't in position to make the tag. And he's not arguing at all.
Larry Boa going to the replay phone. Whoa. Yeah, the throw may have carried him a little bit to the outfield side of third base. It's a good slide. Kind of a hook slide away from the tag.
Yeah, but watch Michael Franco's right leg.
Yeah.
He kicks his right leg up so he doesn't get spiked. That's the reason why when he kicks the leg up, he doesn't want to get spiked.
Oh, yeah.
It takes his body away from the play.
Yeah, good call, Matt.
Instead of staying in there and blocking the bag and getting the tag.
Well, they are going to challenge this, so they must have seen something underneath where he may have gotten the underneath part of his uniform.
That's interesting. It looked to us up here like there was at least 6-8 inches of space.
Well, Mike Everett's
Franco's not. Franco's not challenging it.
He didn't say anything.
Now everybody gets to watch Franco kind of bail out of that tag.
Yeah, Matt, that was a good call on your part, because it did change the way his body was turned.
But and there's no excuse. I mean, Mike, you've been spiked before. The only thing I can think of, maybe the tip of the glove gets the shirt.
Could have.
But again, do you have enough evidence?
Tough to tell there.
I'm glad they didn't have this one I played.
See right there, did it get the edge of the jersey? I mean, they have a chance to slow it down, blow it up. They might be able to see whether it got the edge of the jersey or not.
This is the view that counts right here.
See, this one is tough to tell that we're showing you right there. It shows you that Swanson made a good slide. This is probably the money shot right here. If they can blow it up, if he gets him right there on the edge of the uniform, and they call him out.
They call him out?
Yep.
Wow.
So they must have seen that they got the underside of his jersey. Boy, that is a great review by the Phils. And Swanson now is not arguing it.
How could Franco not have pointed to the dugout on that if he felt he just touched his shirt?
Good question.
Now that's an honest ball player right there, right?
Minute 22 seconds. Well, you're going to ask for a review this early. You have to be sure, and the Phillies were definitely sure. That is not an easy job to figure out. Yeah, let's challenge something like that. Some of them are clear cut.
And it had to be that little area of his shirt.
That's it. But to be able to blow it up that fast and say, yeah, challenge it.
But again, it should never have been that close.
Remember the Braves early on this year, I think it was their first 18 reviews. They lost.
0 for.
Yeah, they were. I think it was 0 for 18 or 0 for 19. So they don't really like replay.
Don't like to read lips in the dugout either.
No. See, right
That shirt.
there, yeah. That's why you got to get bigger pipes.
Or smaller shirt.
Or smaller shirt.
Or better yet, read that play and don't go to third.
Or that. It was a base running mistake because now he's out. Got to let it get past the mound. Enciarte is off, and he is safe because the ball bubbled out of Ryan Howard's glove. Up to second goes Enciarte. You want to talk about a guy that just was given a huge break.
You can hear everyone's yelling, step off.
Yeah, Ryan just dropped it.
Yep.
That's the old-fashioned. He missed it.
He was dead to rights.
Matt, I heard you last night talking about Ryan and his positioning at first base on the tag. I think that makes all the sense in the world. Why would you be straddling the base on the pitching mound side? Must be a reason.
Over to third, and a fair ball. Nope, foul ball, excuse me. Third base umpire made that call. Ball was past the bag, so it's his call.
Could it have anything to do with Achilles injury? You know, past injuries in terms of where where his feet are positioned and the turning that he has to do.
You know, I don't think so. I think what it is that he feels comfortable being squared up to the pitcher. Just like every throw that comes across the infield, he wants to be squared up to the pitcher. The only thing is once you catch it, it's a longer tag.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 0-1 to Garcia. 2 outs here in the third. Softly to short. Freddie Galvis up with it. 6-3 on the putout. No runs. 1 hit. 1 man left. And a couple of base running mistakes. Busters are now through Monday. Sleepy's, the only mattress professionals. By McDonald's, mix and match any 2 for just $2.50 on McDonald's McPick 2 menu. And by your local Ford stores. Here at Citizens Bank Park, along with Matt Stairs, Mike Schmidt, Greg Murphy, I'm Tom McCarthy. Phillies trail at 1-0 as we go to the bottom of the third. She's dabbing a little bit. She's going to hurt herself if she dabs like that. Here's Freddie Galvis to lead it off. Galvis 236, 15 homers, 54 runs batted in. A changeup 0-1. Two. This motion by Gant, he has said that he probably implemented it or started implementing it back in about 2014. It wasn't until a year later that one of his teammates, one of his catchers, started imitating him. And he said, I don't look like that. And everybody on his team said, yeah, you do.
You know what? Whatever floats your boat. If it works for him, if it's a comfort thing.
How do you not know you're doing that, though?
You know, Matt, I think Freddie over the last 3 weeks to a month has had a lot of good 2-strike at bats. I think you know, he's got 111 strikeouts on the year. I believe that's the number, and I just think he's grinding more with 2 strikes now. I don't, you know, he still strikes out, but I think he's a better hitter right now than he's been at any time during the year.
A little high, 2-2.
Yeah, and I think the reasoning behind it too is that now he's finally in a batting stance where he feels comfortable. You know, we saw the wide open, the closed. You know, now he's back to where he has pretty good balance.
You know, and it was probably about a month ago that he figured out that stance.
Right.
It's Velasquez on deck. Lead on that fastball. And 1 out here in the 3rd. Velasquez coming up. Saturday, September 17th, all fans 15 and older will receive the Phillies Aviator hat. That's when the Phils take on the Miami Marlins. It's part of a 3-game series. Tickets can be purchased by going to Phillies.com.
We got to stop talking about hitters' approach because we're 0 for 2 with Altair and Freddie Galvis.
Yeah, 4 strikeouts. 2 of the 4 came on the guys we were chatting about. How about that Vince Velasquez? He's got to fix his approach, doesn't he?
It's terrible.
Over the Phillies dugout, 1 ball, 1 strike. Fanatics getting on some of the Braves fans over in the third base side.
Did a little interview earlier today about the Fanatic and found out he's been around for 38 years.
Long time.
Yep.
Hasn't aged a bit. 2-2. Matt was listening to the Fanatic song, What's the Fanatic Say, today. Probably the one song that's played in our office more than any other song.
Thank you to Larry Anderson.
Yeah. The song is sung by Joe Conklin, who is as talented as you will find. I think the Fanatic likes that there's a song about him. Velasquez fouls it back toward the suite level. So was the interview entirely about the Fanatic today? Was it really?
Totally about the history of the Fanatic for Sports Illustrated Television.
No kidding, really.
They interviewed several people, Bill, Larry Boa. Not sure who else, but
to center field, Markakis is under it. Or excuse me, Inciarte's under it. He makes the catch, and there are 2 outs. Did you tell the story about how you, as players, you thought it, what is this thing? And then your kids thought it was the most popular thing in the world, so you guys embraced it more?
I was quite honest. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to tell you that I said.
It's in the can
So
already.
we didn't like him early in the year.
Yeah.
Early in the early days, back in '78, '79, when the players, I say didn't like him. I mean, you know, we were a little bit jealous of him. He seemed to get more attention than we did at the ballpark.
Want to know the Cesar Hernandez?
Whoa.
Cesar rips it to right field. Doesn't have enough height. It is gone! Just over the small fence in right field. A bullet. And the Phils have tied the game up. It's a 1-1 ball game.
2 balls he's hit hard. Lined out to left field, close to the left field line. His first time up. Fastball right down the chute. Cesar uses those big muscles. That's what I like about his swing, Matt. He's like a core-oriented swing. That core leads that bat through there.
Well, it makes a winner of Gail Malarkey of Southampton. Gail's won $100 thanks to Cesar, the McDonald's home run jackpot. McDonald's mix and match any 2 for just $2.50 on McDonald's Pick 2 menu.
If you ever notice with Cesar Hernandez's swing, he never changes the swing. His swing pattern is always the same. He doesn't try to get that little extra oomph behind the swing. It's the same path, the same bat speed every time.
When I see his swing, I think of one word: balance. He's got great balance through the ball, and it's because he does what you just mentioned. You know, he doesn't try to add anything. He doesn't try to hit it harder.
Jeff, for distance there, about 339 feet.
356.
Help me with that. If it's 330, how do you get another 26 feet out of that ball?
I don't actually get it, but it's distributed that way. It's an estimated distance. His heart's racing right now. And Altair is hit by that pitch, hit right in the elbow pad.
Good old elbow pad.
There's the target.
It's funny. It's almost like he turned his elbow pad into it, which is a good thing to do. Man, in Altair's approach, you know, I mean, he's a really good-looking hitter, but I would love to see him get that foot down a little earlier, and you know, tone down the length of his stride a little bit.
And I think that's the reason why he misses a lot of pitches that he gets to hit. And he misses them straight back. Less movement at home plate.
Yeah, go to that little Carlos Ruiz. Kind of stand up tall like he does. Very little movement, total relaxation. Boom. Fire on it at the last second.
Tom, I'm going to ask you for a hint on that question.
Yeah, I'll give you a hint.
Was Chad Durbin on the team back then, 2011, or was he gone?
Boy, that's a good question. I can tell you that in a second.
So I'm down to 3 guys now. I think I'm down to 2. I don't think Chad was here.
Chad Durbin was not here in 2011. His last year with the Phils was 2010. He came back in 13. And the question is, which Phillies pitcher was credited with the win versus Atlanta to wrap up the 102-win regular season in 2011? 2 balls, no strikes to Maikel Franco. 3-0. I will tell you that the correct answer threw the same side that Chad Durbin threw. It's not a lefty, it's a righty.
So it's not J.C. Romero.
It is not J.C.
It's not Bastardo.
It is not Antonio Bastardo.
Ooh.
At the knees, 3-1.
So that means we must be down to Ryan Madsen, Justin DeFreitas, or was Lidge here? 2011?
Well, three and two. Brad Lidge was here in 2011.
I guess I'm back to 3 guys now.
By the way, did you see those two, the 3-0 pitch,
Yeah.
3-1 pitch? Whoa.
Pitcher's
I mean,
pitch.
how could you make better pitches than those?
Altera will be off and running on this 3-2. And he throws him a breaking ball.
Man, he went from 3-0 to
2 darts.
wow, 3 unbelievably good pitches. That's great hitting, getting a piece of that 3-2 curveball.
Goes. Pitch is pulled toward the vacant spot. Diving stop by Peterson, and Franco is safe at first. Michael is 2 for 2 in this ball game.
Well, go ahead, Mike, sorry.
That's some good direction right there when you hit a ground ball that side, and you place it right between those 2 guys. You said McHale's now 2 for 2.
I just like the fact that he's 3 for his last 3, and his last 3 at bats, he's hit 2 balls, same area. Last night hit the line drive left center. First at bat hit that missile to left field. Now he's getting back to using the big part of the field again.
Well, here's Ryan Howard, who struck out his last time. Good speed at second base for the Phillies. In the dirt. Flowers keeps it in front. 1 ball, no strikes. Flowers is fortunate that ball didn't go right through the 5-hole. With a little opening there.
You come up a little bit.
Yeah. Foul.
Tell you what, anything he gets in the air to left field, it's going to be trouble, right? A wind should blow it right on out of here. It's a perfect win for Ryan Howard.
Off 2-1.
Boys, what a time to have your 20th 3-run home run of the year for the Phillies. That'd be number, what, 153 RBIs versus the Braves. Sitting at 150 right now.
Runs inside, 3-1. Talking about the flags, the way they're flowing right now. They've picked up a little bit even as the game's gone on.
Great view.
Bases are now loaded. And Cameron Rupp is coming up.
Good at bat by Ryan. He laid off of a lot of tough pitches right there. And go ahead and take what the game gives you. And Cameron Rupp up there to do some damage.
Cam is 0 for 1 in tonight's ball game. And Roger McDowell out to chat with his young right-hander. McCann has thrown 34 pitches in this inning alone.
Even Ryan Howard, though, is hitting, what, a $198? Still pitched around him. He still has a lot of respect from the Atlanta Braves because of the numbers throughout his career. Figured he was more comfortable facing Cameron than he did Ryan Howard.
Yeah, Cameron is 0 for his last 16, so that's part of it, too. As the runners lead off, bases are loaded. And a line drive toward right center field. That's in for a base hit. It's going to go all the way to the scoreboard. Howard is trucking to third. Juan Samuel will hold him up there. It's a 2-run double for Cameron Rupp. And the Phillies now lead it 3-1.
Good job, Cameron.
Watch the location.
Yeah, stay in the middle of the field. Well, the pitch was actually a little bit on the inner half of the plate, Matty, and he kept the bat right through the ball for a long time. Went to right center. I'm telling you, there's so much out in the center of this in the field for a hitter.
Well, it's a good inning for the Phils. The 3-run inning. Now they still have runners on second and third with 2 men down. This is all with 2 outs. Darren Ruff, the batter. Fastball outside.
Yeah, usually the 2-0 walks come back to haunt you. This time it was a 2-0 hit by a pitch after Cesar Hernandez home run.
Over to third. That's a fair ball, and Garcia throws out Ruff. Phillies get 3. Cesar Hernandez got everything rolling with 2 outs. A bullet into the seats in right center field. Phillies score 3. They lead it by 2. We go to the top of the 4th inning. Phillies lead it 3-1. So Velasquez has a 2-run lead to work with. You got Freddie Freeman to pop out to shallow left field his first time up. He tries to bunt
Again.
Now, was he bunting that toward first that time, or was he trying to go toward third?
I think he made a mistake.
I mean, they are playing him to pull. He tried it last night in an RBI situation, and he bunted it foul. I don't know. He's the best hitter. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Or is he trying to get to 300 for an average?
Well, he's going to have to bunt a few times to do that.
I'm going to be happy with 290, but I want to get that 30 home run mark.
Yeah, really.
Well, I don't mind him bunting if it was down a couple of runs and he was not the tying run and late in the game, right?
I would agree.
I'm not sure if he's done it enough to be that sharp with it either. 2-2. "12 home runs since the All-Star break. He's got a 9-game hitting streak going after getting a hit in last night's game."
Whew. That's some kind of eye. That's basically the same location as the previous pitch to me.
That's a good pitch. I guess it must have been a little low. Swing and a miss. He got him. 1 out. HP's new series of color LaserJet printers deliver unmatched quality, and their Jet Intelligent toner cartridges print up to 1/3 more pages. Get yours from who? But WB Mason today and experience the difference. Nobody beats WB on HP.
So the defense goes to all pull shift to an all left field pull shift.
Matt Kemp struck out his first time up. And a liner to left center field, and that'll be in for a base hit going to the wall. And Matt Kemp will get to second base with his 33rd double of the year.
Now, I thought Hellickson's curveball he hit for a home run last night was a better pitch than that. Now, this particular ball's up, right? Kind of belly button high. And I thought Hellickson's pitch last night was one that give the hitter credit for. It's kind of a bad pitch. Matt Kemp can hit a curveball.
Yeah. Well, now here's Markakis, who flied out to left his first time up. Good spot on that pitch.
.32 strikes, 16 balls, throwing in 94, 95. 2-run lead. A lot of good stuff going on here.
Off the glove of Rupp, going to third is Kemp. The fire to third, and he is safe, they say. I think he may have come off the bag.
For me, I think that was a very poor slide. I mean, if he slides straight into the bag, he makes it easily, but he kind of went for the slide outside, tag it with the hand. See that? If he slides straight in that bag and just stays there and pops up, he's safe easily.
Yep. See right there, though, guys. Is he off and did he tag him? He is.
Well, if Matt Kemp gets called out on that, that is one of the poorest slides I've ever seen by a major league player.
Well, right now it has scored a pass ball, but we'll wait and see. Now, technique-wise, Franco is in front of the bag here. If he gets back a little bit, he might even be able to make an easier tag.
Well, that's obviously very poor tagging, very poor reception of the ball from the catcher. You just let the ball get all the way to the even with the bag and just go straight down with the tag. He's out. Well, he would have been a lot easier than he was, but he's only out because of a poor slide.
Yeah. And it does look like he is out. It does look like he was tagged as he went past the bag.
We've had two pretty strange plays at third base here tonight.
We have. Good recovery by Cameron Rupp. Phillies have already won one challenge tonight and try to win a second one here. Last one was 1:22 seconds.
I was wondering why Rupp would even throw that ball.
Well, if you watch Michael Franco at third base, it almost looks like he's throwing his hands up to not throw the ball. And maybe that's the reason why he got caught in front of third base.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think he got his leg when everything was off the bag and before he put his hand on the bag. Tim Timmons was trying to get a good view of it. I don't know if he had a good angle where he was sitting.
I think he got blocked.
I think he did too. Now the last one I thought was tougher than this one, but they're taking a little extra time to review this one. We were kind of surprised by the last one that he was called out. And this one here, I think the angle shows you that the tag was on the leg when the body was off the bag. So we'll see.
Well, we like to get these calls right, but I think this is one part of the whole replay scenario that's hard for me to take.
Just how long it takes and how much dead
well,
time there is.
sometimes it does, but I mean, you got your pitcher standing out there stiffening up.
Mm-hmm.
You players are all standing around with their, taking a knee or got their arms folded. I just don't like the way it looks.
Yeah. Here we go. And he is safe. I'll be. Boy, I thought that one was clearer than the last one. I guess that just goes to show you. So it is a pass ball that allows Kemp to go to third. All right, so the Phillies are out of challenges, but as we mentioned before, once we get to the 7th inning, it's a crew chief challenge anyway. 2 minutes 32 seconds. So Markakis is up still. The count is 2 balls and 1 strike. Runner at third and 1 man down. And that one's out toward right field. Altair will venture back. He'll get to it. He'll make the catch. Kemp will tag from third and score. So it turns out to be a sac fly, and it's a 3-2 ball game.
It's nice hitting by Markakis there. He kind of chased that ball inside, kept his hands inside it. The curveball, a little off the plate inside. A lot of guys will chop that thing foul. He kind of steered it fair for a sac fly.
Well, so the pass ball leads to a run, and that will bring Tyler Flowers to the plate. Flowers struck out his first time, and he takes low. 1 ball, no strikes. I did think that one was a little clearer than the other one as far as the tag goes, but two and 0. They helped him out there.
2-0 changeup.
2-2. Another one.
Yeah, Flowers was struggling all night last night with Hellickson's changeup.
Jeremy had a good changeup last night.
He may have one of the best changeups in baseball. Hellickson. And this one here is really good too. And then 94, 95 even makes it better.
Oh, 96 on that one. It's fouled back.
Let's see if Cameron throws down a changeup again. To the lefties, 11 home runs, 283. Righties, 243. Changeup. Doesn't want it. Yes, he does.
He laid off this time. He almost bit at it. It's 3-2. So more changeups tonight than curveballs, it seems, from Velasquez.
Yeah, he's only thrown a couple of curveballs. Sliders been a little flat. Matt Kemp's base hit was off a little slider. 3-2 changeup again.
Pulled toward third. Diving stop on one hop. Franco to his feet in time. What a play by Michael Franco.
Wow.
That ball was past him. He was able to glove it, got to his feet quickly, and was able to beat Flowers over to first base, and that wraps up the fourth inning for the Braves. Visit buyattoyota.com to find your RAV4 today. Toyota, let's go places. Let's go Phils. Bottom of the fourth inning, Phillies lead at 3-2 here at Citizens Bank Park. Game 2 of a 3-game series. Phillies have lost the last 4 on this homestand. Lost the last 4 in 6 of 7. And facing righty John Gant, 24-year-old from Wesley Chapel, Florida, former 21st round pick by the New York Mets in 2011. Odubel waves at a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, 0-1. Odubel grounded out his first time. It was a one-hop line drive, actually. And he pokes it foul.
Not very often you see Odubel Herrera get a 90-mile-an-hour fastball right down the middle and miss it.
Yeah.
And then I think he said to himself, I need to swing down a little bit more, and he swung at the next pitch no matter where it was. You see he's 0-1 right now.
See how his backside is going towards the dugout?
No question.
Like bad balance. We talked about balance on Cesar Hernandez. Cesar's home run. Perfect balance. That there is tough balance.
How do you fix it?
Take away the stride. You have to. Until you get back to the point where you feel comfortable using your hands and trusting your hands, you go wide stance, no leg kick, see the ball, let it get deep. Nice, easy swing. You have to.
And he's down on strikes. What a way. Time for a Coors Banquet moment. Here's Greg Murphy.
All right, thank you very much, Tom. It's brought to you by Coors. And let me take you back to 1972, September 3rd, 1972. Steve Carlton threw his 8th shutout of the season, 8-0 win versus Atlanta. That was the most by a Phillies pitcher since Grover Cleveland Alexander had 9 back in 1919. I know you guys don't remember that, but trust me, that happened.
Two good pitchers right there.
It's a lot of shutouts in one inning.
It's a lot of shutouts.
Season.
Back in 1972.
27 games.
Yeah, I mean, Lefty had some very impressive seasons, but considering 329 wins during his career in 72. He was 27-10 with an ERA of 1.97.
That's crazy.
He had 30 complete games.
Can you name his personal catcher?
Was it Tim McCarver at that point?
Nope.
No. Ground ball right side. Peterson throws out Galvis. What do you got, Michael?
John Bateman.
John Bateman. Well, John Bateman did a heck of a job then. 1.97 ERA, 346 in the third innings. 310 strikeouts.
Wow.
Closest Lefty got to the shutout total was 10 years later in '82 when he shut out 6. How about the 8 shutouts, though, did not lead the National League? The 6 did 10 years later, but the 8 that year did not lead the National League.
What year was that?
1972.
Was the leader the guy from Houston Astros?
I believe it was Nolan Ryan. I'm going to tell you in 1 second. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Did you hear in your earphones that guy yell, "That's the pitcher, Gant"? Huh? Somebody in the stands. He did throw two curveballs and a changeup here to the pitcher.
Fastball swung on and missed, 93. The leader was Nolan Ryan. 9 shutouts for the California Angels back in '72. Ben's trivia quiz answer. All right, Michael. Well, your partner in crime has left you for the moment, so this is going to be a little more difficult for you. But which Phillies pitcher was credited with the win against the Braves to wrap up the Phillies' 102-win regular season in 2011? All right, so he threw out Brad Lidge.
Can't be Lidge because Lidge would have to have blown a save, right?
Okay, so he mentioned Lidge. He mentioned Jose Contreras, and he mentioned Justin DeFreitas.
I got to pick one of those three.
I would say pick one of those three. I'm giving you that hint.
I'll go with DeFreitas.
DeFreitas is correct, by the way. Ball is hit in the air to right field and caught by Altair. Log back on to Phillies.com to find out if you're the winner of a Phillies prize pack. And thanks for playing Jeep Stump the Fans. Nice going.
Well, that's why we like that first pitch fly ball. And that was up there.
That was way up there. Justin DeFreitas, by the way, that year pitched in 5 games. He finished 2 of them, including that one.
That's who was the stump answer. Justin DeFreitas.
I would have, Ryan Madison. Ryan Madsen.
You said Ryan Madsen? No, that was the other one. I forgot to tell you. Ryan Madsen, he said too. I gave him, I gave Schmitty Contreras, Lidge, and DeFreitas. I forgot that you said Madsen also. Swanson singled his first time up. So he's 1 for 1.
So Schmitty, you got it wrong, huh?
Well, I got it narrowed down to 3, and I picked one of the 3 and got him. DeFreitas.
The coin was way up in the air when he was flipping it. Up high, 1 ball, 2 strikes. So with Swanson up here in the big leagues, it means that the first 2 picks in 2015 are in the major leagues. Bregman from the Astros is also in the big leagues. Bregman 6 home runs with the Astros and a .243 batting average. Swanson's from Vanderbilt. Bregman's from LSU.
So he had to be part of that national championship team.
I believe so. He was a College World Series MVP, Golden Spikes winner for the College Player of the Year. So he's got a lot of hardware already.
Yeah, wow.
And there are 2 outs. Sunday, October 2nd, when the Phillies take on the New York Mets, it's Fan Appreciation Day, and all fans receive a Phillies Fathead featuring the 2017 Phillies schedule. Get your tickets now by going to Phillies.com. Two outs now for Gant. 0-1.
This will be a nice inning for Velasquez. Get the pitcher real quick here.
To right field, Aaron Altair is there. Well, he's through 5 innings. He has 2 1-2-3 innings, and he's thrown just 65 pitches. That's a good sign. lot going on as far as the Phillies farm system goes. And with Williamsport's 9-1 win over Batavia last night, all 6 Phillies minor league affiliates will finish the season over 500. It will mark the first time since 1953 that all Phillies affiliates will finish with winning records. I mean, that is a credit to the organization, to the farm system, and what they've been able to do the last few years. And how about this? Up in Trenton at Arm & Hammer Park, Dylan Cousins has hit a 3-run home run, his 39th of the year. He has now moved past Darren Ruff for the most home runs in Reading Fighton's history with 39. He is 2 away from the Eastern League record, and he's got 2 more games after this to play.
Pretty impressive. I'm looking forward to spring training next year to see this young man hit.
One ball and no strikes to Cesar Hernandez. Tonight, Reading leads Trenton 7-2. Magic number to clinch the division crown. They're in the postseason is 2, so they need to win just that one game. They have 3 left, obviously counting this one. Monday is when the season comes to a close, the regular season. Alec Asher was assigned to Reading as he continues his rehab, and he's gone 4 innings, 5 hits, and 2 earned runs for the Reading Fightons tonight. Probably stay with them unless he's moved up to Lehigh Valley, but most likely stay with Reading. To third base, Adonis Garcia has it. And 1 away. 2017 Phillies season ticket plans are now available. Full and partial ticket plans, guaranteed locations, special benefits only for season ticket holders. Deposits are now being accepted. Call 215-463-5000 or go to Phillies.com for more information. Altair hits it skyward foul down the right field line. What a catch. That was a one-handed grab. He didn't even get up out of his seat. Look at the young lady in the row behind him went, wow.
And they don't even go, man, ow, ooh, you know, feel their hand.
Look at that.
Oh, no way.
That is a great grab. Let's see somebody else try to do that. Nope.
Yeah. It's not that easy.
He made it look that easy.
Now, what does that gentleman come down and ask them?
Make sure if everyone's all right.
Out to shortstop. Swanson boots it. 4th error of the year. Ball just jumped up on him.
He kind of sat back a little bit, but the ball play him. It's an in-between hop. It comes up, hits him in the heel.
You don't see that very often anymore. You know, these fields are so good and the guys are so good defensively. You just don't see just a straight up error like that very often anymore.
Mikel Franco is 2 for 2. He's hit the ball hard both times. Ball is low, and the throw to second is not in time.
Unbelievable jump.
Yep.
Good fastball down in the zone. That release, he's already past halfway there.
See, I like that slide.
Straight
right to the front of the bag, straight in, feet first. No sliding over the top of the bag. Of course, that's a bad tagging position again by their second baseman.
It's like an epidemic here tonight. Altair's stolen base is 6th of the year. He's 6 for 6. Triple digits as pitches for Gant. Surprising since he has 2 1-2-3 innings.
Where is that?
Bare hand there.
Where's the bare hand man?
I don't think anybody's going to catch that barehanded.
Tell you what, that was one of those going in there. Somebody needed to
knock it down.
Knock that baby down.
Yeah. The dirt gets away from Flowers. Altair to third. All right, so there's an RBI out there, 90 feet away.
See, that's when you're having a good night. You get into a 1-2, 2-2 count now. Contact's all you need here to get an RBI.
Curveball. It's kind of spiked his curveball. But nice job by Aaron at second base, reading that ball in the dirt.
Well, he's better than the average in the National League. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Franco. 3-2.
I don't know if I'd give that to the umpire with an RBI on third base.
It just seems like Ant's fastball looks a lot harder than 91.
I would agree with that. And a liner to left field. That's going to be in for a base hit. It's another extra base hit for Franco. An RBI brings home the 4th run of the game. And the Phil's lead is back to 2. He's having himself a nice night. That's 20 doubles now in the year.
Well, I'm going to tell you why he got that, too. He got that because just what I said earlier. He had a man on third, 1 out. He knew all he needed to do was make contact. He pulled his hands in on that ball just to steer it fair. Didn't try to hit it out, right? Just tried to push it out to the outfield. It turns into a double. And an RBI.
Well, the hit by pitch in the 3rd inning helped the Phils break the 1-1 tie, and now the error here in the 5th inning enables them to add on. Here's Howard. Howard walked his last time.
It's interesting now you have a pitcher on the mound that has had problems throughout the year with an oblique injury. And this is start number 6 for him. And you're allowing him over 105 pitches.
Yeah, this is his 15th pitch of the inning. He has started games down in the minors, too. What at 1? He was added to this rotation again just the other day. He's not secured a spot when they go through one more time. Well, I am with you, Matt, though. I think his fastball is better than...
It's sneaky fast.
Sneaky. Howard pulls it, and Swanson's able to gobble it up. Well, a little unlucky there for Ryan Howard. 6-3 on the putout. 2 outs.
That was a good play. That ball was smoked. Ryan hit the ball hard. If they're not in the shift, that's a base hit. That's a great play on an in-between hop. Hard hit ball, especially after making an error earlier.
Ryan's probably thinking, 1, I hate that shift, but 2, what's it going to take to get over 200? He's at 199. Very nice play. But all you can do is hit the ball hard.
Cameron Rupp has a 2-run double tonight. Cuneff, who was just added to the roster today, for the Braves is warming up in the pen.
Flowers has been busy behind home plate blocking. He's had at least 9-10 balls in the dirt.
He's been breaking in that new equipment that he has.
And only one got by him earlier.
Yeah. He's part owner of the company whose equipment he's wearing. New catching equipment. Here's Cameron Rupp in his last at bat.
Got a changeup that came back inner third. Well needed hit for Cameron Rupp and the team right then.
Off the end of the bat, that is a foul ball.
You're right, man. It's a lot of pitches. I know they want to get him through this batter. Rupp gets on base. I don't see how they can let him go.
I think everybody on the infield took a step toward the dugout.
I did. I took a step toward the restroom. Huh?
Ball's inside.
They all took a step. High fly ball to left field. Going back on it is Kemp toward the wall. Reaches up, makes the catch. Phils do add one. They leave one. We'll go to the sixth. Philly of the week is having one of the most productive seasons of his career. As usual, Freddie is defending his position on the diamond at a top-notch level. The 26-year-old is first among NL shortstops in starts and fielding percentage. But that's just the glove. At the plate, Galvis has reached career best marks in doubles, home runs, extra base hits, RBIs, and steals. In the field and at the plate, he has elevated his game. And it's brought to you by Independence Blue Cross. Live fearless. Yeah, Freddie Galvis has been a nice surprise over these last few weeks from a power standpoint. 0 for 2 tonight, but playing great defense once again. We move to the top of the 6th inning. Vince Velasquez will get ready to face Ender Inciarte.
You know, Freddie's a tough kid, too. He's played almost, all but 5 games.
Yeah, very durable. Inciarte takes a strike. Inciarte is 0 for 2. He has struck out He's reached on a fielder's choice. Just a bit outside, 1-1. You know, the thing about Freddie is they talk about fielding percentage and how good he's been with it. And he's getting every ball, too.
Yeah.
It's not like he's 5-6 years down the road where he's not getting to every baseball. He's getting to every baseball, too. Awful lot of gratification, though, when you set your mind to working on something and you improve as vastly as he has from one season to the next. I mean, 8 errors this year, 17 last year.
You know, I like to rate a player. I look at a player and I go, can this guy play as a regular player on a championship team? And I truly think Freddie can.
Upstairs, 3-2. I mean, and play it at shortstop too. I mean, he could play other positions, but play it at shortstop too.
Well, look at it. I mean, 15. He's got a shot, you know, an outside shot at 18 home runs. 17, 18, 70 ribbies. Project any shortstop in the league. That puts him in pretty elite company in the league, doesn't it?
Well, minus the guy from Dodgers, Colorado. Those guys are just
they're in a
above
different
and
planet
beyond
as rookies.
Yeah.
And a strike 3 call on the outside part of the plate. I don't think Inciarte agreed. That ball had some movement on it.
In late movement. This is a fastball inside. Look at the movement. Outside corner.
Might be a changeup.
That was 91.
Was it?
Yeah.
Well, how does it move so far
Well, it's supposed
the
to be
other
a front
way?
door two-seamer.
I was going to say, you think it's a two-seamer?
Front door two-seamer. You can see the spin on it.
Here's Garcia, who homered in the first inning. And he just homered here in the 6th inning. That ball was smoked. So he's got a 2-home run game, and it's a 4-3 ball game. Well,
that's a good call. You had his first at bat, and before you got it out of your mouth, you had his third at bat. And you know what? It was almost the exact same pitch. One went to right, one went to left. You know what, though? You know, we talk about Velasquez having the ability to go after hitters, right? I think if you go after them, sometimes that's going to happen.
Now that's 13 home runs now for Garcia. Here's Freddie Freeman, and Freeman takes a fastball for a strike. Freeman is 0 for 2 tonight. He's popped out and he is struck out. Popped up again, foul territory. Just inside the tarp, so it's no balls and 2 strikes. Well, Murph, I think we've watched Freddie Freeman enough to know that he is not just a one-dimensional hitter when it comes to hitting it to one side of the field.
You are absolutely right about that, Tom, and we have the video graphic to prove it. I mean, he's a guy that has been able to hit to all fields most of his career, but take a look at his sprint chart this year. If you want to build a power hitter, this is the kind of guy that you want to build. 11 home runs to left, 7 to center, 10 home runs to right. You see he sprays his hits all over the field as well. You talk about a guy who has power to all fields. That is Freddie Freeman. He's been that kind of guy his entire year. As you take another look at that, of course, goes down swinging right here, but he has been a guy that started the season, the first 3 weeks of the season, guys, he was batting 200 with 1 home run. However, he really turned it on. He's been one of the hottest hitters in the National League, certainly one of the best players at his position in the National League as well as Freddie Freeman.
And we said for the first half of the year, Matt, what did we say about Freddie Freeman? Why are they
pitching to him?
There's some crazy numbers there.
They are.
Those spreads on those. Geez, 11, almost equal amount of spread to all fields.
Yep.
That's so unusual for a power hitter. Atlanta's a big field too, right?
Yes, it is.
Big but small. Ball carries well. But he hits, if you notice, he had all those hits to left field. None of them are ground balls.
Right.
Those are majority of line
and that's why
drives.
the big shift is
Yeah.
on.
1 ball, 1 strike to Kep. He doubled his last time up. Check swing. He went, says the home plate umpire.
Vince did something.
I think he did do something. He stepped back off the mound. Cameron Rupp's going to go out and just check him. Wonder if he slipped. Scott Sheridan, Chris Mudd taking a peek from the dugout.
Well, that sure didn't look like a slip.
That didn't look like a slip at all.
It looked like his right foot rolled over.
The right foot did look odd. He looks back at it. Swing and a miss. He got him. He gets Kep on strikes. He does allow the solo home run to make it a 1-run game, but 6 solid innings tonight from Vince Velasquez. Honda dealers. Hurry to your local Del Val Honda dealer. Visit DelValHondaDealers.com. Buy Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV. And buy WB Mason. You can't go wrong when you buy right. Darren Ruff set to lead things off for the Phillies, and he will do so against a new pitcher for the Braves. John Gant is done after 5 innings, 5 hits, 4 runs, 3 earned, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Brandon Cuniff, solid year, 3.25 ERA, will take over. He was just added to the roster today. Not surprising. Teams around baseball have added players the last couple days. We'll probably add some more depending on what their system tells you. Roger McDowell, closest to us. Taking a look at some charts. Braves have some decisions to make after this year, not only player-wise, but their manager, Brian Snitker, is an interim manager. 1 ball, no strikes. on the outside corner, 1-1. Brian Snitker is as a manager this year with the Braves since taking over for Freddie Gonzalez, 43-55. And since the 1st of August, he's a .500 manager. He's done a nice job keeping this thing together for the Braves. Longtime minor league manager and coach, longtime third base coach for the Braves. They like him. Certainly has been an organizational guy. Ruff fouls it back toward the Hall of Fame club.
Look out.
I think that guy in the navy blue shirt with the glove actually slowed it down for everybody. It may have deflected right there. It did deflect.
Glad he did.
Yep. Popped up right side. Jace Peterson says he has it. And he puts that away. They'll bring Odubel Herrera to the plate. All right, Matt Stairs, break down Odubel Herrera for us and what you're seeing.
Odubel Herrera's last at bat, if you think about taking a ruler and going across his head should never come above that line. If it does, it means that you're coming out of your stance. Watch how far he comes up out of that stance, which means the backside, there is no backside because you're pushing everything up towards this way, and that's why you're having the awkward swing and the upper body swing. So he needs to think about if you start low, when you attack the ball, you have to finish low in your stance. If you start high, you still have to go back in that low position and you finish low. Doesn't matter where you start, you have to finish low. If your head comes above that line, then all of a sudden you become an upper body swinger, a swing, and you use no lower half.
And that's why we've seen so many balls just slowly hit.
Right, and it looks like his bat speed's really slow. It's because his technique is so off right now that you go through it to where you think that, oh, is the umpire holding my bat? I mean, really, that's how slow your bat feels at times. Because he has the perfect setup. He has a good weight shift, about 70-30 right now. He has a nice little rock going back, but as he goes back, he needs to stay there and push off that back leg. That was a little better. I mean, he overswung. Swung hard there. And what happens when you swing hard is that the bat angle all of a sudden drops and the barrel gets below the ball, and that's why you swing underneath it a lot. That's why he's walking out. He can't understand why he's not making contact.
That's right. It does freak you out a little bit when you're swinging what you think is a perfect swing at a fastball right down the middle and you miss it.
Then you're like, what's going on?
Sprays it foul. It's 3-2.
I guess sometimes what happens is and you're basically saying this, is what you're saying creates like a disconnection between your hands and your core.
Right.
And when your arms separate from your core, when they're not tight to your core, you're not working in sync with your core, your bat slows down. And that's what we call kind of like hunting the ball. You know, he's feeling for the ball, or he's trying to find the ball with his hands. And it's tough for Odubel because he is very much a core hitter. He has a full turn. You could see like a little disconnection right there. It's like the hips went and the arms didn't.
Pete was talking today. He said, I just want the old simple adage: see the ball, hit the ball. You know, and I think that goes back to what you were saying too, Matt, about the minimal stride.
Yeah.
See, like I don't know how to describe it, but that ball was in the catcher's glove as his bat was coming through the hitting zone, and something slows everything down. It's like thinking a little bit too much about mechanics, thinking about where things are. His arms are really flying out from his body.
Mm-hmm.
See that?
Yeah, and when his hands fly away from his body, you have 0 lower half into your hit.
Galvis lines it right at Freddie Freeman. He hit it on the nose, but the Phillies go down in order. We've played 6, on to the 7th, 1-run lead for the Phils. Time now for our Delaware Valley Honda Dealers game summary. The Phillies scored 3 in the 3rd inning. It got started by Cesar Hernandez's home run, and then they added 2 more on a double by Cameron Rupp. Now we go to the 7th inning, and Vince Velasquez has gone 6 so far, 4 hits and 3 runs, 2 earns. He'll reach the 7th inning for just the 2nd time in his last 17 starts. Nick Markakis will lead things off. Markakis takes outside, 1 ball, no strikes. It's just 82 pitches now for Velasquez. Two and one. Well, this is as crisp as I think we've seen him in a while. Matt, you talked about, pitch count coming down. And his pitch count is down per pitches per inning.
Yeah, I mean, I like his fastball today. I like his changeup. I think he's getting better movement with his fastball today. His 2-seam grip. And basically that's without having a curveball and a slider today.
Got him. 8 strikeouts.
And he's going to the top of the 7th, still throwing 95.
Came back from a 2-0 count to strike out a tough hitter. Doesn't strike out that often.
No, I mean, a very good contact hitter. But that 95, and like you said, Smitty, once it's elevated a little bit, it's very hard to hit. It looks good up there.
Tyler Flowers is 0 for 2. He has struck out and grounded out. Four tickets, 4 Hatfield hot dogs, and 4 Coca-Colas for $100. That's the Phillies family packs. They're available for select weekend games. For more information and to order, visit the ticket section at Phillies.com. 2 balls and no strikes.
Hey, Flowers has been in this count all 3 at bats.
You're correct.
Huh?
You're correct. That means you should see a changeup right here.
Out toward right center field. Altair on the run. He won't get there. It's a 1-hop off the scoreboard. And Flowers going to second base will get there standing. A 1-out double.
And he finally got hold of that 2-0 fastball.
Pretty good location. Better swing.
It took it took hitting in that direction to hit it solid.
Yep.
#14th double of the year. Jace Peterson, who's 0 for 2, will be the batter. Ramos is warming up in the bullpen for the Phillies. And Simmons. Fly ball to center field. Herrera is there. Flowers not tagging. Nice job by Odubel. Got that ball in quickly. 2 outs. And Dansby Swanson 1 for 2. Thrown many of those tonight. Hasn't needed it.
No, he hasn't.
Pitchers get a little nastier when there's men in scoring position. In case you hadn't noticed.
Yeah.
Swanson looks like he's going to be a good player. You can just tell by the way his presence in the batter's box. Plus what you told me about him at Vanderbilt.
Won all kinds of awards.
I watched him in that World Series. I couldn't put the name with the face.
But yeah, he's not going to be a power hitter, but he's going to be a good defender, and he's going to hit for average. At least that's their hope. He pops out to second base. That could be it for Velasquez. He'll leave with a 1-run lead. The rest of the NFL's world was rocked a little bit today when they saw that the Eagles had traded Bradford to the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings opening up a new facility. They figured with the injury to Teddy Bridgewater, they got to get themselves a quarterback that's established. So we'll look forward to hearing that a little later on. 4-3 Phillies on top as we go to the bottom of the 7th. The most popular way to follow Phillies baseball is with MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball. Enjoy live look-ins, highlights, game day, scores, StatCast, live radio broadcasts, and more at MLB.com at bat today. And get it in time for the postseason. Well, that is right-hander Shea Simmons, who is the new pitcher for the Atlanta Braves. We have seen him before, but it's been a little bit of time since we last saw him. He'll take over as we move to the bottom of the 7th inning, and he will face Jimmy Paredes. Well, if this is indeed, and we don't know this for sure, if this is indeed it for Velasquez this year, that's a nice way to finish it up. 7 innings, 3 runs, 2 earned.
No walks. 8 strikeouts.
Yep.
Very good. 2 solo home runs. You can live with that.
Yeah, from the same guy. Hector Neris is loosening up in the pen. He did not pitch last night. Paredes whacks the first pitch foul. It's 0-1. There's Hector. Hector is a shattered bat. Paredes trying to leg it out, but he's retired. 4-3 of the put out, 1 away. Is that going to sting his hands, boys? Or
well, sometimes you get jammed so bad that it doesn't hurt, but I think this one, once all the pieces go everywhere.
They are everywhere. Tucker's looking at it thinking, let's get this authenticated.
Fracture.
Cesar takes a breaking ball, and it's 0-1. Cesar is 1 for 3, homered earlier. Breaking ball outside, 2-2. Toyota Major League Scoreboard. Cubs and the Giants were battling again today at Wrigley Field. San Francisco wins it 3-2. Madison Bumgarner outduels Jake Arrieta. Bumgarner 6 innings. Arrieta 6 innings. Bumgarner 10 strikeouts. Arrieta 7 strikeouts. On a day where college football dominated a lot of the viewership, that was a heck of a game. Cesar just barely is thrown out on a 1-4-3 put out.
I think that made it a closer play when the pitcher knocked it down with his glove. Ooh, man, he can get down that line.
He can.
Notice where he hits that bag too. The kids out there watching the game always hits the front side of that bag.
Here's Altera. Altera has scored 2 runs tonight. Reached on a hit by pitch, reached on an error. Over to shortstop. Swanson is up with it. And a 1-2-3 7th inning. Bullpen 6 up 6 down for the Braves. 1-run lead for the Phils. annual clearance sale is going on now. Toyota, let's go places. Buy Jefferson. Call 800-JEFF now or visit jefferson.edu. And buy Chevrolet. Visit your local dealer at chevydealer.com. Top half of the 8th inning. Phillies lead it by 1, 4-3. Phillies have made some changes. First up, Hector Neris is in the ball game. Neris, 68th game, 2.11 ERA, 86 strikeouts at 68 1/3. They also shift the outfield. Aaron Altair moves over to left field from right. And now in the game in right field is Peter Borges.
That's one thing you see in baseball a lot of now, especially in September. You don't see a lot of double shifts or double switches. You know.
Yeah, because there's so many rosters.
So many
people,
roster spots. Now, of course, we do it for better defense. No offense, Darren, but
Chase Darno pinch hitting here for the Braves against Neris. 1 ball, 1 strike. Split low, 2-1. Ramirez and Rowe both warming up, 2 right-handers as Darno fouls it back.
one thing about the Atlanta Braves bullpen, they have some great arms.
They do. They've traded for some 100-mile-an-hour arms.
Saw him last night.
103.
Cabrera?
Yes. Mauricio.
The guy that had the hat on that was like, there can't be any head up in that hat. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, is it him right there? Jose Ramirez? He was in last night.
No, I think it was the second guy that came in.
Cabrera. Popped him up. Way up there. Rupp waits. Franco's down. Franco drops it.
Yeah, what can you say about that? If Cameron's camped under it, like, you know, he kind of was, and screaming, you got to let him have it, because Michael came a long way for that ball. But, you know, usually that ball, I don't make excuses. The ball was just missed, and it's hard. You end up having to catch that ball with the pocket pointing up in the air. Anything can happen. Now it turns into a base on balls.
J.P. Crawford and Nick Williams love to compete and win, whether against their opponents or against themselves. Marshall Harris talks with the 2 of the team's top prospects about their friendship on and off the field. Watch Phillies Clubhouse Monday at 6:30 here on CSN. That little guy enjoying a night at the ballpark. Down the left field line, out of play after the Darno walk. Got to be honest with you, it's always surprising when Hector walks somebody the way he's been throwing. Runner goes, pitches slapped down the left field line. That'll be in for a base hit. Altair kicks it, rounding third and holding there is Darno. And up to second base is Inciarte. That extends his hitting streak to 14 games.
Some good hitting right there. And you see the pitch. Ball's running away from him big time. You could only hit that ball to left field. I think it would have been second, third, no matter what. I don't think this little bobble made a difference. Where the drop foul ball looms big right now.
Sure does. So runners on second and third, and here's Garcia. Well, one thing about Hector is that he is a strikeout pitcher. So he can rack him up pretty quickly. He's dealing with a guy now that has 2 home runs tonight.
You know, watch your first pitch right here. His first pitch home run last time up. Cameron Rupp's third trip to the mound in this game. Neither one is covering his mouth. There we go.
Right on cue.
Boy, they got some lip reading coaches, I think, in this league. Don't they? They specialize in lip reading from the distance.
I don't know how they'd be able to relay whatever they said to anybody that mattered. 96 free and easy on the outer edge. 0-1. Cue shot. This is going to tie the game up. Howard will get to the bag. And it's a 4-4 ball game. Runner over at third. 1 man down. An RBI, the third of the night for Adonis Garcia.
Unfortunately, Hector. I know Hector's not very happy. I saw his reaction after the runner got to first base. The guy hits a cue shot. Does exactly what the situation calls for on a swing and miss pitch.
Well, and as you guys mentioned, the error by Franco looms large now. So it's an unearned run that scores. Now you got Inciarte over at third. They're going to walk Freeman intentionally. And pitch to Matt Kemp. That'll put the double play in order.
Well, it's amazing the difference. We were talking earlier about his presence in this lineup. Earlier in the year, this was Markakis.
Yep.
Hitting cleanup.
So runners on first and third. Coming up after tonight's ball game, stay tuned for Phillies post-game live. Tommy Green and Steve Bucci will be in the house to talk about Vince Velasquez's no decision in tonight's game. 7 strong innings for Vince. He was charged with 3 runs. That's only on Cure Auto Insurance presents Phillies post-game live.
Tough decision right here. Where do you play the infield, Matt?
Double play depth.
So you give him the go-ahead run?
Well, with 1 out, Kemp doesn't run real well. When he hits the ball on the ground, he usually hits it pretty hard.
My mistake. My mistake. I was thinking there were no outs. He just made an out. My bad.
Foul territory, third base side. Franco is over and there. Makes the catch. 2 hands.
Good call. Big out.
Matt Kemp not. Oh man. I don't know how they do that. Broke that bat right over his leg. Now Markakis. He's 0 for 2. Sack fly is second time up tonight. Fastball 0-1.
I'll take a sack fly right now.
Yeah. Hit outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Poor guy had it lined up. It's not as easy as it seems sometimes. That foul ball spun right in and out of his hands.
I mean, that would have landed right in his lap.
Yep.
But someone down below is happy.
You have to shake it off getting hit. They pick it up. In the dirt.
Play.
Nice play by Rupp to backhand that.
Ooh.
That's how quick this is. Supposed to be a split away.
Oh, that could have saved the game right there.
Two balls, 2 strikes to Markakis. Go ahead run to third. 1 unearned run is scored. And a strike 3 call on the inside part of the plate. No argument from Markakis. 1 run, it's unearned. The Braves tie it up here in the 8th, and Hector Neris is able to get out of it by not allowing another run to score. Defensive play of the game. This was a heck of a play by Maikel Franco.
Oh my God! You talk about an in-between hop. Ball couldn't have been hit any harder. Couldn't have been any tougher hop. Got you fast runner. Dive, get up, and throw him out. Whew. Wish I'd have done that sometime in my career.
Yeah, like you didn't.
Oh no! I don't know that I ever picked one that was hit that hard.
You just had some rug burns from doing it.
But anyway, that was your Hyundai defensive play of the game.
That's right. Brought to you by your local
Hyundai dealers. I love that car.
Jose Ramirez will be the new pitcher for the Braves. And he fires a fastball to Franco. It'll be Franco, Howard, and Rupp. Here in the bottom of the 8th inning, the Phillies and the Braves tied at 4.
Looking hard at that Genesis 5.0.
Down the right field line. This might have enough distance. Is it fair? It is off the top of the wall. Markakis plays it well. Franco to second. He's there. 3 doubles in the game for Maikel Franco.
High fastball. Good swing. He's had a good approach the whole night.
You're
All
right.
4 hits have been squared up and not over swinging.
Just letting it happen, you know, just swinging the bat and let the ball go where it wants to. It was the 5th hit in a row, right?
Yep.
All right, let's see if we can do the job here.
So he's in scoring position. Here's Howard on the anniversary of his 3-home run game against the Atlanta Braves back in 2006. Ryan Howard stands in. He's 0 for 2. Check swing. Slow roller left of the mound. Ramirez has it. 1-3 on the putout. Oh, that's frustrating for a hitter, I would think.
You have no idea. You know you're up there, you have a game plan, what you want to do. And then you do the check swing back to the pitcher. A lot of times you want to keep on running right down by the 330 sign and just leave.
Just right out the runway down there.
Well, here's Cameron Rupp. Rupp tonight has a 2-run double. He's 1 for 3. In the dirt, Flowers again blocks it. The big man is frustrated. You can see it on his face. Jedmar Gomez warming up in the bullpen for the Phils. 1 ball, 1 strike to Rupp. Ooh, 1-2. Trying to stay alive.
Yeah, Cameron, the ball he hit the right center the first time up was inner third. He's having a tough time getting to that. Look at that. He did stretch out to get a piece of it, but not covering the outside corner very well.
You almost got to start thinking away versus Ramirez. He throws a lot of fastballs away, sliders away. Take a chance and just dive in.
He's down on strikes, 97 on that fastball. 2 outs, just what you were saying, Matt. Time to get updated on what's going on around baseball. Here's Greg Murphy.
All right, thanks, Tom. It's our greater coverage of baseball presented by T-Mobile. Yankees catcher Gary Sanchez named the American League Player of the Month and Rookie of the Month in his first month up in the big leagues. Batted .389, 11 home runs, 9 doubles, 21 RBIs in the month. He's the first catcher to win both awards in the same month in Major League Baseball history. And finally, the Mets get some good news on the injury front. Lucas Duda getting closer to coming back from that stress fracture in his back. He started taking full swings today, and the Mets are hopeful that he will be back before the end of the month in Major League games. Of course, they are just 1.5 games out of that wild card hunt. Guys, back upstairs.
All right, we appreciate that, Murph. You know, the Nationals, that's who the Mets are playing. Max Scherzer will not start tomorrow for the Nationals. Swing and a miss, 1-1. They've decided to sit him just to rest him for his next start. He'll pick it back up again the next time through. I don't know. The other night he didn't look like he needed a rest.
No, he was pretty good. But why wouldn't you give him a rest?
Yeah, you might as well. Swing and a miss, 1-2. Ramirez just overpowering him now. Got a slider, and it was up, out over the plate.
But 2 weeks ago, that ball would have been crushed. When he was swinging, Peter Boyd just swinging the bat very well. Hasn't had a lot of bats since being hit by a pitch in New York.
Come on, Peter!
I believe this is his second in that bat in about a week.
Yeah. Been basically a defensive replacement. Fly ball right center field. Inciarte is there. And he comes stomping in to make the catch. We'll head to the ninth, tied up at 4. Who last night gave up 4 runs in the 9th inning, is on the pitch once again. ERA is at 3.56. This will not be a safe situation, of course, but trying to keep it at a 3-3 ball game. And Genmar will face Tyler Flowers, Jace Peterson, and then Dansby Swanson. Flowers doubled his last time up. That one's hit out toward left center field. Odubel Herrera got an excellent jump.
Yeah, did. He closed ground on that well. Left the bat like it was getting in the gap.
So 1 pitch, 1 set aside. And here's Jace Peterson. Peterson's 0 for 3. Look at the amount of ground he covered.
Yeah, you get a great jump. Genmar got away with a fastball up in the zone. Last place, the sinker baller wants to be up in the zone. It just gets the sinker gets flat, no movement.
Breaking ball. 1-2.
That's where he wants to live. That's where you get a lot of weak ground balls. Right at the knees. Let it dart out of the zone towards the bottom.
Ground ball softly over the mound. Galvis has it, sweeps the throw. Peterson beats it out. That's good hustle right there. That ball was just not hit hard enough for Galvis to make a play.
It's a little running start right here. Slaps it to short.
He did. He must have got out of the box really good.
Yep.
Freddie did lay back on the ball a little bit. Left-handed hitter. They get down there fast.
Yeah, we do.
Well, now Swanson singled his first time up, flied out to left, popped out to second. Peterson had been 0 for 14 before that base hit. He'll take that.
Redding's having a nice night down in AA. Beating up on Trenton, what, 10-4? They have 18 hits.
Wow. That ties their season high. And by the way, Cousins hit that home run, 39. That sets the Redding record. He also set the RBI record for a season. He passed the Bulls record from 1970. Good spot, 0-2.
But you're 3-4 guy in that lineup down in Redding.
Crazy. The numbers are ridiculous.
237 RBIs combined.
Yeah, then you throw
Fox, who has 71.
Jake Fox in there too.
Alfaro. Alfaro's got 60, middle 60s, doesn't he?
Something like that. Oof. Swanson takes low. Phillies half of the ninth inning. Herrera, Galvis, and the pitcher spot. And Genmar is trying to get us there in a 4-4 game. To the right side, Cesar's got it, goes to second, a little high. And Freddie Galvis, did he hang on to the bag? It looked like he did. Peterson held his ground for a moment. Brian Snitker's going to say, hey, let's hold on. We're going to review this.
Nice play to your left.
Wow. Sometimes those feet are quicker than the eye.
It looks like he dragged his foot across the bag.
I think he did too, yeah.
Back of the bag. Oh, yeah, he kicked it.
Play by Freddie. Making sure of the out.
Terry Pelleton's on the phone. He just said he's out. And now Gordon Beckham will pinch hit. Watch it again. See his foot back. You're right. He dragged it there. Big rip at a breaking ball.
Nice slider. Little different approach by Genmar tonight. More sliders and changes compared to last night. Threw a lot of fastballs. Good location, good velocity on it.
Outside, kept on floating. Beckham taking a look over at Bo Porter in the third base coach's box. Runner goes and then stops. Pitch a strike, and it's 1-2. Swanson kind of spun his wheels.
Beckham took that pitch like he was taking a pitch.
Yeah.
To allow Swanson, you hear it going. He just kind of gives up on that pitch. It's right down the middle. I'm sorry, but ninth inning, and I'm pinch hitting.
You're going.
And I'm swinging.
That's what I mean. You're swinging at it.
Yeah. You had 2 pitches previous to that to steal second base.
Well, particularly where that pitch was.
Yeah. And again, though, you don't want to steal second base here when you have a pinch hitter up. If you get thrown out, he's burnt.
And a base hit it to left field. Swanson will stop at second. That ball was knuckling out toward left field. Well, the pitch hitters have done their job tonight for the Braves. The walk to Darno, and now the single for Beckham.
That ball almost started right out Franco at third.
This is a tough hitter for Gomez. He proved last time he'll take that runner away to left field. A real hot hitter.
He extended his hitting streak to 14 straight his last time up. Outside, 1-0. Bradley's the left-hander, and Mauricio Cabrera is the right-hander. Little dribbler in front of the mound. Gomez is able to get out of it. 1-3 on the put out. Bottom of the ninth. Here we come. The Phils and the Braves tied at 4. For the ninth inning here at Citizens Bank Park, the Phillies had a 2-run lead a couple different times in this ball game. And as we go to the bottom of the ninth inning, Odubel Herrera is going to be pinch hit for by Tyler Goodell, who's out in the on-deck circle. Braves are going to have Jed Bradley make his major league debut. Bradley had his contract purchased from Gwinnett on Thursday. Pitched for 3 different teams this past year. He was 9-5 with a 3.09 ERA. He started with Milwaukee's AA team. And then the Braves traded for him on the 2nd of June. So he went to their AA, then went to their AAA, and now is in the big leagues. Probably sitting there thinking, sure beats the Milwaukee Brewers organization.
Just by a smidge.
And I think the fact that Goodell is pitch hitting here lets you know what Pete thinks of the way Odubel's swinging right now. Against the left-hander, too. That's part of it. Tyler Goodell takes a strike. 90 miles an hour for Bradley. 1 for 18 is Tyler Goodell this year. Fouls it back. Swing and a miss. Got him with a 91-mile-an-hour fastball. So his first major league appearance results in a strikeout to start that appearance. Got to throw that baseball away.
Yeah, that's what the dugout was yelling. Just a pretty good pitch to hit. Tyler Goodell was just a little late on it.
You're right. Took the first fastball and then got 2 good fastballs to hit.
Well, now Freddie Galvis with 1 man down here in the bottom of the 9th inning. It's Bradley, the former first-round pick by the Brewers. 1 ball and no strikes. Tommy Joseph is out on deck to pinch hit. There's Tommy. Out in front, 1-2. That got a piece of Galvis on the foul ball.
Back leg. Near the top of the foot of the shin.
With a knee.
Top of the knee.
Back knee. You don't see that very
That
often.
is a weird trajectory. John Ficasny.
Back knee, Sean.
Yeah.
Get the freeze out there.
I mean, when I played in Mexico for 7 years in winter ball, you got hit by a pitch, they came out with a little freeze.
I know.
Just sprayed it right away.
Well, you
Made everything feel better.
So now Pete and Sean come out.
Oh.
See Freddie's reaction.
Little slider down and in.
Well, he may get it again.
I can guarantee he's not going to hit off his knee again. He's either going to swing and miss or he's going to try to punch it to right field.
Here comes the 1-2 pitch. You got it again. Down the left field line. Fair foul. It is foul.
Told you to hook it.
Oh, man. That was awfully close. They needed a different breeze tonight.
It was actually a better pitch he fouled off his knee than.
Look how close that was.
Pitcher's gone. Pitcher's out there going, what's the big deal?
Yeah.
Close only counts in horseshoes.
Over toward third. Garcia stays down on it. 2 outs. Look at the reaction of everybody here. Wishing it, wishing it, wishing it.
That's a long way around the bases there if that would have stayed fair.
Yeah. I couldn't tell what Matt Kemp was thinking. I think Kemp was just trying to get a better angle to look at it, or he was running off the field thinking the game was over. So here's Tommy Joseph after Gomez pitches a scoreless top of the 9th inning. Tommy pinch hitting, hitting .248 with 17 home runs. Fastball runs away, 1-0. Phillies have 1 hit since the 5th inning. That was the double by Franco. That one's hit well out toward left. It was toward the end of the bat, though, so Kemp is going to get under it and make the catch. And a 1-2-3 inning. In the major league debut for Bradley, we're going to go to extras. Tied up at 4. Phillies haven't played as many extra inning games this year as they did a year ago. They're 6-4 in those extra inning games this season. Braves, meanwhile, are 9-10. 19 extra inning games. Ramos will take over here in the top of the 10th inning. Phillies also changed their outfield defense again. Goodell stays in to play left. And Aaron Altair has now played all 3 outfield positions tonight. He's in center field. And Adonis Garcia will lead it off. Here are the top half of the 10th inning. Pitch is outside, 1 ball, no strikes. Two and 0.
Got the caution flag out here for this young man.
Looked like he was taken there. 3-1. Freddie Freeman's on deck. 3-2.
Well, it's where it crosses, not where he catches it.
That's right. That time it crossed outside, and Garcia peeked at the home plate umpire. So ball 4. Well, why are we here? Here's our W. Mason delivery of the game to let you know why we're here.
8th inning. Little cue shot down the first base side. Didn't go far, but man on third base scored the run. Make it 4-4. That's why we're in extras. That's your W. Mason tap of the game.
Yeah.
The delivery of the game.
Freddie Freeman's the batter. Freeman is 0 for 3 with an intentional walk here tonight. Out of play off to the third base side. Boy, the speakers are taking a beating tonight here at Citizens Bank Park. That's another one that just got clanked.
Back to the previous batter. 3-2 hook in the dirt.
Wonder if he thought that he got him with a 3-1. As that one is pulled into right field, a base hit. Garcia is on his way to third, and he'll get there as Borges gets it in quickly. First and third, nobody out for the Braves here in the 10th inning.
0-2 pitch to Freddie Freeman. There's a high one. I was about to say Freddie has a tough time with that high fastball. He caught that one right in the perfect spot.
It's a 10-game hitting streak now for Freeman. It brings Kemp up with runners on first and third. Kemp popped out in this situation his last time up. Play by Rupp.
I wonder when they playing the middle infielders halfway. Just a slow rolling ground ball right at Freddie. I guess he's going to charge it and go home.
And I think if it's hit hard, they'll make a decision based on what Garcia is going to do at third.
He's going no matter what on the ground.
I would think so, right?
Oh yeah, no matter what he's going.
Runner goes from first. Pitch is tapped right back to the mound. They'll get Kemp at first base. 1 out and 2 in scoring position.
You got a break right there, And the reason why is that Ramos did not look at the runner back at third base. Watch him field this ball. You can see he never looks towards third. He gets it straight up to first base. And Garcia decided he wanted to come down the line
and wait. So they'll walk Markakis, and that means Flowers will be the batter. Now the bases will be loaded, but the double play will be in order. Let's hope the Phillies hope the Braves struggles with runners in scoring position will continue. They're around 200 with their batting average with the bases loaded this year.
Rather telling Ramos, ball back to him, go to home. Corner infielders are coming in and Pete's coming out. Corner infielders on a slow roller will have to go home, or any ball like Michael goes to his right, unless it's one he can touch third on and throw to first. He'll have to go home. Ball to his left, he'll go to second for the double play. Ryan Howard, ball to him, will have to come straight home.
Well, here is Tyler Flowers with the bases loaded, game tied at 4. See the runners taking their lead: Garcia, Freeman, and Markakis. Check swing over to first. It is a fair ball, and Howard comes home, and he's safe at home. And the Braves take the lead 5-4.
Wow, that's a strange one.
It's the second time that a little chopper up to first base line results in a run. And that is not reviewable whether that's fair or foul. Watch this here.
Starts out foul, comes fair.
That's a fair ball.
Yeah, the umpire called it fair.
Yeah.
Tell you who you got to give some credit to right there is the runner on third for not,
Lollygagging.
Yeah. How'd you know I was thinking of that same word?
I don't know.
Quite a lollygagging into home, thinking it's a foul ball, right? I spell that anyway.
That would be one we'd have to Google. Peterson over to first again. Howard has it, bobbles it, and they'll get the runner at first. And another run scores. It's 6-4. Braves on top.
So Flowers gets an RBI on the check swing.
Yep.
Here's a chopper to first, and the runner kind of, see, he got in his way, but he was there.
I'm trying to think if Ryan was doing the tag.
If he was trying to.
It's good thought. See, I think he got blocked by the runner at some point while that ball was hopping.
Yeah, and there's nothing that the runner did that was incorrect there. The runner even tried to avoid Howard, but I think he did block him a little bit.
I think Pete came out to ask him if there was any chance of interference by the runner.
So runners on second and third. 2 runs are in. And Dansby Swanson will be the batter. Braves have scored 2 times here in the 10th inning to take the lead.
Comes back to that dreaded 3-2 curveball to Garcia for the walk.
That's right.
Two in a row, three and one curveball, and called a strike.
One ball, 2 strikes. Runners lead off second and third. 2 runs are in. 10 hits now for the Braves tonight.
Timeout.
Over toward first, caught by Howard. 2 runners left, but 2 runners score. Bottom of the 10th, Phil's down 2. The offense for the Phils has managed 1 hit over the last 4 innings. And Mauricio Cabrera will take over here in the bottom of the 10th inning. Try to pick up his 4th save of the year with an ERA of 2.43. So he will face Cesar Hernandez. Hard throwing right-hander. Brian Snitker said last night, the way he pitches, even though he allowed the leadoff base runner to get on, he goes, it's like he's playing catch in his backyard. He said he's unfazed and it just comes on out at 100. Mike's talking about his hat and his coconut, big coconut, little hat.
How's that stay on his head?
I don't know. Cesar tonight is 1 for 4. He homered back in the 3rd.
Little double-sided tape in there. Double-sided duct tape.
Fly ball left field. Kemp looks in at Swanson. Swanson's out, and he calls Kemp off. Almost caught that one at his ear. And the first out is recorded here in the 10th inning. Think about how close this game was to being over in the 9th inning on the ball that Freddie Galvis hit. And then how softly the go-ahead run scored.
You're right.
On the little dribbler up the first base line. Matt, you pointed out the last 3 balls the Braves hit in the 10th inning, they didn't even reach the infield dirt. Last 4, they didn't even reach the infield dirt.
The check swing down the line.
The tapper up back to the mound.
Yeah, the ground ball to Ryan to his right. And then the soft line drive to Ryan at first.
Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Yeah, after Freeman's line drive to right, that's a pretty soft inning right there.
Now, if the score stands, Bradley gets his first major league win.
In his first appearance. And he was about 4 inches away from having his first major league loss on the ball hit by Galvis. 101 outside, 2-2.
He's the second hardest pitcher I've ever seen. Chapman #1 at 105 in person. He threw one Cabrera 103 yesterday.
Back toward the middle. Swanson's up with this one. 2 outs.
But I will tell you that who was I in a discussion with yesterday that told Bob McClure in the clubhouse coach's room, telling me he had just watched that documentary called Fastball. Did you see it?
No.
And they had determined Nolan Ryan threw the hardest pitch ever at 108.
Wow.
Yeah. I thought, well, how do they measure that?
I was going to say, how do they determine that? Technology, I guess they go back to video. Here is Maikel Franco. 4 hits tonight, 3 doubles.
And that's counting everybody. You're right, Maikel is 4 for 4 at this point, 5 for his last 5.
Some tidbits about Franco and what he did. Tonight. 4 hits, ties his career high, 3 doubles, most in the game by a Philly since Ryan Howard in August of last year. 3rd different Phillies third baseman with 20 doubles and 20 home runs since '90. Yeah, we couldn't go back any farther than that. Throw your name up there. Two balls and 1 strike to Franco.
I see he took that 2-0 pitch because that's the proper way to play baseball. Now he's got to battle like heck. Try to keep it alive for Ryan Howard.
And a line drive to left field, and Kemp this time is able to grab it. Earlier in the game, it went right past his head and to the wall. This time he grabs it, and the Braves take the first 2 games of this series, and the Phils have lost the first 5 games on this homestand. Adonis Garcia is the Chevrolet player of the game, 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs and 3 runs scored. He has 5 consecutive multi-hit ball games. Well, last night the Phils blew a 4-0 lead. Tonight they blew 2 separate 2-run leads. They lose it in extra innings, 6-4. We'll be back to wrap it up right after this.